So, James Dickerson, Chief Scientific Officer at Consumer Reports. Big title.
Yeah.
Big company.
Yeah, I guess so, yes.
Big organization.
Yes.
Let's just dive in. Let's talk about who you are, why you're here.
Okay, so a little bit about Consumer Reports first to get us started. So Consumer Reports is an independent, 100% independent, nonprofit organization who has a mission to try to work with consumers, which is all of you, I think. Yeah, all of you, to make the world fairer, safer, and healthier. And we try to do that through a variety of things. So fairer, fair is good.
Yes.
Safer, safety is usually good.
It's real good.
And healthier.
Uh-huh.
And healthier we mean in all aspects of health, not just personal health, mental health, physical health, financial health, health.
Awesome.
Exactly. And so our mandate is to take the perspective of a consumer and put it first inside the marketplace. First. Not second, not third, but it's really first. And so in doing that, we do a variety of things. We disseminate information, we do grassroots efforts, we do all sorts of things. But our goal is to give consumers information and power so that they can make better, more informed decisions.
Got it.
That's what we are.
Awesome.
Nice and corporate sounding, right?
Yeah. I have so many questions.
You're supposed to laugh. It's true, but you're supposed to laugh.
I have so many questions around that connected to the tech industry who historically has been putting money first, not consumer first. But I'll save that for later.
Okay, sounds good.
You go ahead, continue.
All right. So to give you, if you're not familiar with Consumer Reports, to give you a little bit of numbers, since this is a tech conference, and I'm a physicist by training, so I like numbers. So we have about 6.5 million members. If you are familiar with us, we've been around since 1936. And in 1936, we started as Consumer Union with a magazine. So most people know us as a magazine. About 18 months ago, we switched our model from a subscription to the magazine, to a membership model. And so we now have 6.5 million members to our family of Consumer Reports. We do all this with about 550 employees across 5 sites, including one right here in San Francisco. We have an office here. As a dissemination platform, particularly our online platform, we engage around 14.5 to 15 million. That's a slightly old number. So we get people out there and we let people know about what we do.
If you all were a traditional tech startup and had these numbers, you would be like, what? Unicorn? I don't like that word. I know I like the person. I like Eileen who coined it, but I don't like the word. You all be a big deal.
We are a big deal.
Yes. True. My bad. But I'm saying like in evaluation numbers.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
So other numbers to jump on that. We have, again, we're 100% nonprofit. That means we don't, in our comparative testing of products, in our investigations of the state of the marketplace and health and food and all these other things, we take no government money. We do everything we do based on our own revenue model, and that's about $250 million annually.
See, that's where I was going. If you all were a tech startup,
we'd be pretty good.
Yes.
So this is how we try to impart change in the marketplace. So we work in these 6 areas that we call consumer impact areas. Food, please, as a show of hands, does anyone remember when back in 2017 there was an outbreak of E. coli in lettuce? Everyone remember that? Guess who was the first organization of any kind globally to say you should stop eating lettuce?
Wow.
This guy. Consumer Reports did. And in fact, the second time we had a E. coli outbreak in lettuce, who was the first organization to say stop eating it? Us. So we're very deep into the food space. money. That means everything from how to better plan for the college education of your children, all the way to issues with auto insurers charging people in certain area codes unfairly just because of where they live. We work in healthcare, automobiles. We have a 350-acre automobile test facility in rural Connecticut. Please come by because you get to go on a drag strip to learn about how handling and performance of automobiles are. Yeah, it's kind of a fun place.
Don't make the offer to me because I ride my motorcycle over there.
Yeah, well, you should come.
All right.
And then perhaps most importantly for this organization, we are stepping up our efforts in data privacy and security. We most recently partnered with the Craig Newmark Foundation, and we're from his generous donation to our organization of $6 million, are stepping up what we call a digital laboratory. And so we're now investigating actively what it means to be a consumer and to have your data protected, and what it means to have private transfer of data, what it means to have your PII out there in the internet. We're thinking about ways so that, again, we're making sure that your health in the internet in this digital age is as fantastic as possible.
There's so many questions, like around what you all are doing around cars and driverless cars and what that means, and also with homes and AI. But yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Continue.
So this is just a little slide that gives you an idea of the kinds of things that we do. We're very famous for comparative testing of things like washers and dryers and toasters and things like that. But we also do a lot of work in food space. We do a lot of dissemination through magazine, through our online. We have our own television show on NBC, Saturday mornings. Check us out, local listings, where you'll see fantastic people like myself on that TV show. You can see I'm really modest. And we also disseminate by doing a lot of advocacy and grassroots mobilization efforts. Yeah. We really are everywhere that a consumer can find themselves in the marketplace.
Wow. Can we go to the next one where
yeah,
that one on the side.
This one's the interesting one.
Yeah. So we were talking backstage something around like why you here at Tech Inclusion and how this connects to diversity and inclusion. Can you go over that some?
So our organization is quite diverse in the sense of diversity of perspective, as well as the traditional views of what diversity is. And the reason that we have to have that diversity is that the consumer marketplace is an extremely diverse place, even though it may not seem like it. The perspective that we come with is that the diversity, the primary diversity in the consumer marketplace is represented on the different sides of this octagon. And there's a reason I came up with this diagram, because I'm a fan of mixed martial arts. You may not be, but if you're not familiar with mixed martial arts, the arena that mixed martial arts occurs in is an octagon. And so from my perspective, the consumer marketplace sometimes is quite combative. And we as consumer advocates on one side of that octagon work with all the other sides to ensure that the marketplace is safer, fairer, and healthier on behalf of consumers. And so what we found is that standard-setting organizations and regulators, designers of products, goods, and services, sellers, manufacturers, influencers even, all have different drivers, motivators, and actions in the consumer marketplace. Not always are they on behalf of or to the benefit of consumers, A. But B, there's diversity among each one of those sides of the octagon. So if you thought let's say there are 8 types of diversity outside of this, right? We deal with 8 times 8, 64 different ways of dealing with that kind of diversity. And for us, it's imperative that the consumer know that our job, our sole job, is to make sure their lives are better. And it's dealing with each of those different sides of the marketplace in doing that. Sometimes it's dealing directly with consumers. Sometimes it's only dealing with legislators.
What would you say is the most challenging about doing this work? Which group?
They're all challenging.
Okay.
Interestingly, we don't deal as much as we would like with designers. And it's something that myself and a few others in our organization are trying to reach out to design schools to talk more about what it means to be a designer in the contemporary consumer marketplace. That's something that we feel is an underserved area to understand, particularly for designers who are growing up in the current age, that their designs, their ideas, their insights can have substantial impact on the everyday lives of people.
As a fellow designer,
Yeah.
actually I got into tech. Was doing art, design, then got into IT and web development and all that. But as a fellow designer, I'm like, please do more of that, because design and some of the other nerds and other teams you all know is often like afterthought. It's like, oh, just build it without thinking about the user experience. So
Extremely important.
yes, and then with the future of consumer products, everything, it is going Iron Man, Marvel type, world, and that's
Right.
in VR, right? AR.
I'll try to answer your question.
Okay.
I tried to deflect, but All right. So you asked, what's the hardest one?
Yeah.
So strangely enough, don't take offense. It's half consumers.
Okay.
Consumers are difficult to deal with.
Because human
They,
nature was.
like you, hi, you want what you want, right? And sometimes what you want might actually be bad for you. And so for us, it's difficult to try to get over that barrier of, well, here are options for you as a consumer that might be better for you, that may not be as enticing, they may not be as, interesting, but in fact, they're better for you. That is a challenge. And then manufacturers. I've sat across the table from manufacturers regarding one particular story we did on furniture tip over, trying to keep pieces of furniture, particularly dresser drawers, stable, not tipping over on people. And this guy basically said, he's a manufacturer, basically said he didn't quite care that pieces of furniture that he was selling were killing people.
Wow.
And you sit there and saying, wait a minute, you are a human, I think. Did you really mean that? And you could see his mind going back and forth saying, I have to deal with my shareholders. So that's who I serve. And like, no, but you're a human and you have kids.
Yeah.
These products that you're selling, in fact, are really killing people.
Yeah.
And so sometimes trying to deal with folks that seem to be disconnected is a challenge.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Thanks for sharing that. I feel bad because my bias was thought of being legislators.
No.
That's my bias.
No. No, I mean, it's a long play with legislators.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, the staff of legislators, and that's who you usually talk to, but occasionally talk to legislators, they at least are receptive to the information.
Got it.
They may not use it,
But they're receptive.
but at least they'll take it in. And they might toss it into the garbage, but at least they'll take it in.
Got it.
Largely, I've found that the other two that I mentioned, consumers and manufacturers, often won't even take the information.
Because we know what we want, no matter
Right.
how good or bad it is.
Right. And it's also because, again, we have to reiterate that we're 100% independent. We take no funds from anyone. We buy every single product we test. So there are no freebies.
Wow.
So people don't understand that that's a notable difference from other organizations out there, many of our competitors, that do take freebies, that do take advertisements, that do all this other stuff that can skew their perspectives on the nature of a good or a product or a service.
So I'm trying to shift gears a little bit and I want
Please.
to ask, like 2 questions. And one is more personal. You are a very successful black man in a very powerful role. And outside of President Obama in America, there are more, but it's not that many that we put to this level. What was your journey like? Like, how do you feel your responsibility as a black male in your role, and what was it like getting there?
So I've had a very strange journey. And it's not been a traditional journey. And I tend to share that with anyone who's willing to listen. Because I know being a scientist is a challenge. Being a black scientist is a challenge. Being a black physicist is even more of a challenge. Because at least when I got my PhD, at that year, there were less than 10 black PhDs produced that year.
In America?
Globally.
Wow.
My year.
Wow.
So there aren't that many of us. I also have a weird background because, I started off not sure what I wanted to do. In fact, after I got my undergraduate degree, double majoring in physics and art history, believe it or not, I wasn't sure if I was going to become an art historian or a physicist. This is true, I took a coin.
Okay.
Flipped. And it came up physics. So I said, okay, that's what the universe has told me, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go full force. At that point as well, I decided that my career, whatever it was going to have as a title, whatever it was going to be as an endeavor, at its heart, it was going to be about communicating. And since I was a scientist, it was going to be about science communication. So since graduating college, I've been a high school teacher, teaching physics. I've been a college professor, tenured in physics and in chemistry, because as a physicist, you can learn anything. It's a plug for anyone who is thinking about being a physicist. You can do anything that you want to do. I've worked for the government. I was basically a deal maker for the Department of Energy. And then most recently, I've worked for this consumer advocate, trying to let consumers know that there are things that are out there in the world, in the marketplace, that are working against them. And they may know it, but they may also not be aware of it. And so there are people that are out there working quite hard so that their lives are safer, their lives are better, or we're giving you information so that you can make an informed decision. You might choose to do something that I wouldn't do, but that's okay. At least you had the information available to you. And that's something I think transcends being a black physicist or being a black art historian or whatever.
Awesome. Well, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing. Last question is, so we're here in the heart of the tech industry.
Yeah.
With everything that's happening, there's so much happening, moving at a fast rate around. All the technology, you name all the buzzwords, AI, ML, you name it.
Yeah.
What at Consumer Reports or you have your eyes on the most, saying like, we need to watch this carefully, or are you excited about?
So our big thing right now is data privacy. It is the number one thing that we feel could be like not just a stumbling block, because a stumbling block at some point you can stand up and wipe yourself off and get going, but it could be the most crippling thing in the history of civilization.
Data privacy. Yeah. Cool.
Because it's yours. Your data is yours. And at some point, maybe even now, it may no longer be yours.
Yeah.
So we're working quite hard, and we're looking for people to help us in that endeavor, both as a partner, as a colleague in the space, but we're also hiring. So in this space of data privacy, data engineering, software engineering, data security efforts. So if it's you, if it's someone that you know, someone you love, someone that you hate, just, hey, let me know about it. I'm around the rest of the day. We're very interested.
Got it. Cool. Cool. Well, James, thank you for being here. Seriously.
Thank you for
being
having
here.
me,
Thanks
please.
for having us, and thank you all. All right, cool.